What an eventful day. Oh my God. So today I finally went to yoga for the first time in about 2 months with one of my good friends. It had been so long since the last time we went to yoga, I think back in like November or something. I swear my body was feeling anew again with all these new stretches. And after the class ended, I got a pleasant surprise. I went to go meet my best friend from China who popped in for a surprise visit. All right, so it wasn't exactly a surprise that he was coming from China. I knew he was visiting America because he was in town for the holidays to see his family. But he told me a few days ago that he was going to be a little bit delayed coming here, so I didn't really know when he was going to get here. Anyways, we met up at a bar close to the campus, and another pleasant surprise, his brother was there also that I haven't seen in probably almost a year, and his college best friend that I have been trying to meet up with forever. So finally today I saw three people that I really wanted to see that I haven't gotten to see in a long time. So of course what happens, two more people came, and then we all just hung out for a few hours, even went back to nearby International House where one of them lives. Really cool place. It has a nice indoor basketball court where I play with other friends sometimes. But we just talked about random stuff from daily New York life to things that we would imagine in the worst situations to even at the end arguing for like half an hour about which bodega was the best apparently. And I didn't really think the one they were talking about was of any particular importance because I just said to them, guys, this is just like any other deli in New York. What's the big deal? So we ended up going up there because, these guys get hungry. Luckily, I didn't. I just bought some breakfast for another eventful day tomorrow. Oh, all these classes every day are so packed. I'm having at least 6 hours of classes. And surprisingly, I'm learning quite a lot from them. Let's first talk about the IBS class we had after lunch today. So, continuing the subject of business ethics that we talked about, yesterday I was thinking about how different cultures may resolve different practices in different methods. However, our lecturer today was a different professor who was from China, and she was very candid about companies' duties to protect their clients, to be responsible socially to their customers, and even for people that don't even have a share in the company's stakes. The professor was so honest when she was talking about corrupt practices, or not exactly corrupt, but substandard practices that could be uh, seen as conflicts of interests, such as something from her own country of China, where a lot of sons and daughters of prominent politicians were hired in high ranking positions or even just any position in an investment bank, prestigious investment bank, for because these banks were trying to win favors with the government officials. Of course, they didn't see it as anything that was wrong because that was just their way of networking in China. And to a degree, nepotism, networking, whatever you want to call it, we have some type of this pulling in people in America as well. A lot of the companies that we have that are publicly held by shareholders from anyone buying the stock have boards of directors that are chosen usually by someone well versed in the company. So who's that going to be? Usually there's an insider who's really responsible for the company, and that's usually going to be the CEO. Other people that are brought on are usually people that the CEO knows, and the people that the CEO's people knows. So you can see how this has a compounding effect of having a small circle deciding everything. Before class today, I actually had a really interesting discussion with one of the people I was working with on an assignment. We were talking about what kind of ethical standards we could apply to the differences between viewing bribes and governmental taxes. Well, one key difference is when you're bribing one person, that money doesn't flow back into that country's economy necessarily. Whereas theoretically, with the government collecting taxes from corporations, they should be flowing back into the economy. Of course, these are all under ideal conditions, but this doesn't always happen because in the West, we still have a lack of transparency, even behind closed curtains at the highest levels. And of course, you can never achieve absolute perfection with transparency. However, I do believe there is value and merit in striving for transparency, for everyone in a populace to understand where their money, where their power is going to, how it's being utilized to better their own society. So, in just one day, my view about the ethics of some business practices have already transformed quite a bit. It's not that surprising to see your views change as you're going through all these courses, this whole experience. Today we did a groupthink activity actually, where we thought about 3 candidates who would be best for a job position. Even though I chose candidate A in the beginning, we got into groups of 5, and although the majority of our group initially picked candidate A just like I did, some of the people that were vying for candidate B eventually convinced us, even though we almost convinced them to switch sides. This is just something that happens when you're working in your teams. I think it's really important for us to keep an open growth mindset when we're approaching this business school education. And just a short note for those of you who don't know what the growth mindset is, it's basically the notion that as you're growing as a student and as a human being, because as human beings we should be learning for life, you should not think of yourself as something that's fixed, but rather always capable of transforming into something better, stronger, smarter, whatever, you name it. Just improving yourself. That even if someone says, oh, you're not smart enough for this, you don't have the talent for this, you say, well, I just don't have it yet. I'm still growing. I'm learning how to be better. I will get there one day if I believe in myself and if you believe in me. So there's plenty of learning to be done. However, I did not do much learning at all during our accounting class today. Because, so yesterday we just had our first accounting class, an introduction to everything. It reminded me of some of the things I covered in undergrad about 7 years ago. It's been a long time. So today, our professor, in an attempt to keep the focus of some people in our class that have yet to get their exemption exam results get returned to them, so they don't know whether they're going to be passing out of accounting or not, even though they have been working as accountants or in the accounting industry for many years. So these guys are experts, some of them even more expert than our professor. So our professor tried to capture their attention by talking about really fancy stuff like RICO or something I had no idea, like options, securities. These are terms I plan to learn about in the upcoming 3 months, but right now I had no idea what's going on. He really used some of these complex ideas to explain a simple idea such as assets equals liabilities plus owner's equity. So the foundation of accounting, he was talking about for like half an hour using this complex language, and I thought, oh my God. So I thought we were doing intro to German, but apparently I'm in like German level 4 or something on day 2, and it was worse than taking a foreign language class, because at least with foreign language class you could try to watch people's body language and try to learn some mannerisms in their culture. This is just plain, I have no idea what's going on right now. This is an idea that we talked about in education, where if you don't have familiarity with a subject, people are so much less able to keep their focus on the subject, and they're a lot less receptive to whatever you're saying. There's a lot of cognitive dissonance happening with what they're trying to get, what they're trying to target towards you, and what you're receiving from them. So I let the professor know during break about how I felt, but he assured me that this is just a temporary thing. He was trying to dive, deep into some very advanced subjects just to get people familiarized with his terminology. However, tomorrow should hopefully be the last day that we dive that deeply. And next week, after the people who are exempting are permanently out of our accounting class, he should be starting from a more basic starting point. And I can't wait for that because I think accounting is going to be so important for anyone to understand not only their financial statements, like balance sheets, income statements, but also just the principles that you have credits and debits added together and they need to add up. It goes back to the transparency we mentioned earlier. You need to keep everything open for everyone to look at. And this is why so many people are asking President-elect Donald J. Trump to release his tax forms. He's going to be inaugurated in a little over a day. I wonder, is he going to post them for everyone to see? Or are we just going to see the same non-transparent president that we usually see here in America? We can only hope for the best.